All right, everybody, welcome to our regular public council meeting for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, here in the town of Torbay. Welcome those in attendance. New business, Councillor Tapper.
A couple of thank yous.
Okay. Councillor Manning.
Thank you.
Councillor Pollard.
Same, please.
Okay. Councillor Appleby.
Thank you and condolences, Mayor.
Not gonna make me cry, are you?
I may. I'll cry
Deputy
with
Mayor. God. Thank you. And I got a thanks and a congrats. All right, is there anybody here in the chamber that would like to get on the first Q&A session? Seeing none, okay. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So, second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. All right, first thing is minutes for a regular public council meeting for August 5th. Can I get a motion to adopt, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Conflict of interest, our sheet is there with a list of applications coming forward. As always the case, make sure that you declare a conflict at the time when these things are coming up. All right, proclamations, presentations, Q&A. No proclamations, no presentations, no Q&A. Mayor's report. It's got a short report. I'm just going to do the birthdays for the month of September. Paul Roach, September 2nd, Recreation and Community Services, and Infrastructure and Public Works. And Paul's a busy man. Dave Myrne, Infrastructure and Public Works, as equipment operator. Ray Clark, Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, he's our fire prevention officer. And Kelly Tapper in Recreation and Community Services. Happy birthday, everybody. Hope you have a good one. All righty. Business Arising report. Anything?
Just standard question, Your Worship, as to where we stand on the water application, and is there any update?
Right, and CEO is not here, but Director of Corporate Services, you doing anything? I know that it's been sent back to, actually Kerry knows.
We sent back the latest version of that agreement with some suggested edits. I also had a half-hour phone call with the folks there to go through the agreement for any issues. They'll have it back to us, I'd say, within a week to 10 days. That'll probably be the final draft, then we can give it a final review.
All right, okay, thank you.
So we expect that at the committee of the whole on the 15th-ish,
Hopefully,
do you think?
I would hope.
He didn't commit to a date, so therefore I cannot commit to a date.
Okay.
But he said within a week to 10 days.
All right,
That's imperative that that come back to this council before this council. I think somebody needs to put the push on to get that to come back.
okay. All right, anything else? Okay, thank you. Correspondence, we got a few correspondence here. Some from MNL Info Note for August 20th, another one for August 27th. Conference agenda, draft agenda for the conference coming up in November. Safe and Sound Community Rally, sent in there. And the beginning of the school year barbecue at Juniper Ridge Intermediate is going to be Wednesday, September 10th, with a rain date of September 11th. So members of council are invited to go attend. So if you feel like that you're going to be able to do it, I would encourage you to pop over. All right. Committees of Council, Planning, Land Use Development. Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Does anybody have a topic of conversation while I wait for the blue dot to go across the screen?
So we have a large agenda tonight, so a little delay in Council Pollard's laptop.
It's large in backup, not large in speech. Three-quarters.
If it's any consolation, Counselor Pollard, that's what I'm doing with my phone right now. I'm trying to look at something here, and I'm using this to read on the other side because of those connection issues.
We need some more RAM.
Anyone else?
No, needs more than that.
Oh, yeah.
I find sometimes if I don't download it before I come in, if I wait to come in here and download it, it takes long.
I have it, it just comes in at, you wait for 5 minutes, then it comes in at 26%, so even my glasses don't magnify that. First item up, has everyone got theirs up in front of them? The first motion relates to a home-based business, construction industry at 5 Nathaniel Drive, and there'd be no associated traffic, so it's just an in-home business, so we didn't see any issue with that. So motion to conditionally approve application BR 2025-010 for proposed home-based business in association with a contracting business at 5 Nathaniel Drive in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025 pertaining to discretionary uses and subject to conditions outlined in the attached background report. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The second application is at 238 Bali in Lime. Once again, it's a home-based business. It's going to be in childcare with a maximum of seven children. It was, information was circulated and there were no objections to it. So the committee didn't necessarily see any issue with it, so we're bringing forward a recommendation. Motion to conditionally approve application BR 2025-007 for proposed home childcare use up to 7 children at 238 Bali Line in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025 pertaining to discretionary uses and subject to conditions outlined in the attached background report. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
3 Eagle Ridge Drive, is a residential large lot, and it's application for an in-law suite. Once again, it's subject to discretionary use, and there were no objections from anybody in the area. So motion to conditionally approve application C 2025-104 for proposed in-law suite at 3 Eagle Ridge Drive in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025 pertaining to discretionary uses and subject to conditions outlined in the attached background report. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next one up is 217 in the email line, which was the Development Regulations Amendment for the Municipal Plan Amendment. As we all know, this went out through discretionary use process and we received quite a number of responses from residents overall. And after looking at that, the committee is bringing forward a recommendation to not move that forward. So the motion to stop the amendment process for the property at 217 in email line from the residential designation to a commercial designation, file number RZ 2025-001, as the town received a large number of objections in response to the initial public consultation, particularly relating to concerns about how the proposed light industrial use for the property may conflict with the existing residential uses in the area. The committee further recommends that the town refund any unspent funds of the amendment deposit after deduction of planning consultant fees to the applicant. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I just think it's important to acknowledge the resident engagement on this file. You know, you hear sometimes from people that council's not listening. And and I think is really important. And it's also been said in the 8 years that I've been here, when you're elected, you're supposed to be listening to the people. And some people think that we don't. This is a great example of listening to the people and understanding that, you know, the community, the way it engages with council and has its conversation definitely impacts in how we do our business. So I want to thank the residents who wrote letters, emails. I read every one of them. I want to thank them for coming here and speaking in the chamber. I think it's really important to make sure that residents know this is an inclusive community. We're here to listen and work together. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, all set. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Councillor Tapper.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Sorry, no, just a brief comment. At the committee level, we spent quite a bit of time at this, at our last committee, and obviously a month or so ago. And again, with the turnout at one of our public meetings, and the reaction that when people came and spoke against our plan, you know, we had open minds, and we went back and did our homework. It's not the only large development that we turned down within the last few months. We had another one on our north side. They're fairly large developments. You know, they would be good for the town, but it's the location and the circumstances that you got to look at the whole picture. So again, I'm grateful for the chair and the lead he took on this, and I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mayor?
Yep.
Before we proceed with the meeting, there's an issue I need to speak to the CAO about. Can I just ask us to pause for 1 minute? It's something I need to speak to you in the back about, please.
Sure.
Sorry, my apologies. Be right back.
I'll have to,
Just make a note. We got the elevator music to stick on the video.
Like I say,
proceed with your meeting.
That's right, we
Like the
do,
same.
we do have a singer here.
Well, play the
Two.
recording, we can sing as well.
They can
Got
hold the
two.
tune.
Continue, Mayor.
Two.
Okay. Are we pausing or are we
No,
continuing?
we're
We should-
continuing.
Okay, thank you. All right, carry on, Tony. Or Councilor Pollard. Sure. Next one is for 18 Bernice Drive. The extension is a 7-lot residential subdivision. So obviously it's on the east end of Bernice Drive. We went through the application process and we didn't see any particular issues with this. So a motion to conditionally approve application S 2025-009 for the proposed extension of Bernice Drive to accommodate 7 unserviced building lots in accordance with the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, the area level land use zone requirements, Torbay subdivision engineering guidelines, and the specific conditions outlined in the attached technical report. So moved.
Second.
Moved in, seconded. Comments?
No, I just want to make a point. If you're not familiar with the area, Bernice Drive is I guess on the south side of Woody's Ridge, and this particular property is adjacent to where in the future the road will be extended to connect Bernice Drive with Whitten's Lane. So, you know, that was something we had to take into consideration. This will not block any, you know, extension for that particular road. So, again, Woody's Ridge will have at least another exit in the future.
Okay. Any other comments?
No.
Councilor Appley, did you want to just read the motion before we, it's been motioned and seconded?
It's okay, I've read the package, so I'm good with the motion.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you, Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity, though.
Okay, any other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next up is Flora Drive, Scenic View Drive, and Trail Declaration of Ownership. I'll just read the motion, we can talk about where it came from and how long it's been around. Motion for the town of Torbay to issue a declaration of ownership for Flora Drive, Scenic View Drive, and a 3-meter wide walkway located west of Scenic View Drive, south of Valley Loop Drive, north of Flora Drive, and east of Eagle Ridge Drive, for the registration with the Registry of Deeds in accordance with sections 38, 175, and 176 of the Towns and Local Service District Act 2023 as applicable. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I was going to say, we notice it's been tied up in bankruptcy proceedings for a number of years. And I guess we're finally to the point now from discussions with legal in terms of taking over what we're actually using on a day-to-day basis anyway, and as well the strip of land that we're going to use for the trail. So hopefully this will take care of any potential arguments around it.
Okay. Councillor Tapper?
Just mention, for those of you who campaigned in the last election 4 years ago, this was on the docket then. This trail especially, because it's been on the go for, as Tony mentioned, for years and years and years. So this is another step forward. It was a really slow process with the developer. Just didn't do the job. So I think this is a way for us to move forward.
Okay. Ever comment?
If I could, I remember having conversations with the residents up there at that time. And I think, you know, to Councillor Tapper's point, it's really important for residents to understand, because things don't happen as fast as we might like them to happen sometimes. Council can be very tenacious and not let things go. And this is 4 years working on this, working the problem to find a solution. There's an item in the package as well that's been on the agenda for Infrastructure and Public Works about a hidden driveway since the last election, trying to work with the Department of Transportation Infrastructure with the province to get that resolved. So sometimes it does take time, but you know what, it's on the agenda, we are working it, and I think that's a really good point, so I just want to endorse what Councillor Tapper said. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ever comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next item G relates to the Housing Action Plan funding, and part and parcel of the funding proposal was we were going to do a public land inventory. So on the 28th of July 2025, the town issued a call for quotes for the preparation of a public land inventory, which includes the identification and analysis of town-owned and crown-owned lands that has residential or mixed residential commercial development potential that aligns with the town's housing action plan. So the study will take a look at all those lands and come back with potential recommendations for what the particular piece of land might be used for. So the motion to accept or to appoint Fevers Lane Enterprises, Inc. to prepare the Torbay Public Land Inventory in keeping with the terms specified in the call for quotes and submit a quote for $42,000 plus tax. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
I just want to say, right.
Good, you put forward a motion. We went through the public process of calling for bids on it, and we received 5, and it was based on a ranking rather than necessarily dollars, but in this case, the lowest cost was associated with the highest ranking as well. So Fevers Lane came in at $42,000 plus tax. The highest on the other end was $68,000. So the quotes ranged from $42,000 to $68,000, and there's 5 quotes in total. So we got pretty good representation for this RFP, and we were okay with recommending that we move forward with Fevers. Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I spoke with with Councillor Pollard earlier this evening, and I'd like to have the quotes included, Kim, in that information, because usually when we have quotes, if we say 5 quotes, the name and the cost is automatically included. So we received that information before the meeting.
Scoring as well, please, Kim,
And
because
scoring.
it was based on scoring rather than quotes necessarily.
Should we be releasing that information? Is there any competitive disadvantage to the bidders if we put that information in public? Is there any liability to the town for that?
Certainly not for the scoring, but
I would just suggest we consider and make sure that we've got ourselves covered if there's any concern there. Just want to be sure.
That's a public.
I'm not 100% sure, so I'll trust you. I know that in accordance, as per David, we do have to post the successful bidder and the bidding and the cost estimate. So I'm not sure if we have to post all the other ones.
It does become public once
Yes.
the tender is opened, and all those who are who are proponents in that tender can sit and listen, and then that information becomes public after the tender opening. So it is okay, because that is part of the procurement process.
Yes. Thank you.
I just want to make sure, because I know in other environments that I've been in, there's been conversations about if the amount of the quote or the score has been, it can be provided to the person for feedback and go back and say, hey, you had your bid, weren't successful, here's what's going on. But I just want to make sure there's no liability to the town. If someone comes back and says they bid that the next time round, it impacts their ability to get a job. We just want to be really careful on that.
According to the Public Tenders Act, that information becomes public as soon as the tender is awarded.
Okay.
Okay. Did we vote on that already?
No,
We
no,
did.
no.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And last motion to accept the Torbay 2025 permit listings for the weeks ending August 28th of 2025 as tabled. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right,
So moved my report, Your Worship,
thank you, sir.
or our report, I should say.
All right, admin and HR, Deputy Mayor.
It's basically an update. We met on the 26th, and this is the planning technician. That job, the interview schedule has been confirmed and names have the hiring made prior to September 5th. And the engineer for planning and development, the chief human resources is in consultation with the director of planning, and the job opportunity has been posted with a closing date of September 5th. And a further update will be at the next meeting. Part-time seasonal staff for the fall and winter staffing requirements for the recreation community services. The poster has closed and the interview schedule has been finalized for the week of August 25th to the 29th. So the aim is to have the final hiring decisions made prior to September 5th. And I know today that there was meetings and that took place regarding that to get it finalized. The pay and leave automation project, that's ongoing. So other than that, if anybody, next meeting is on September 9th. It was, compared to when we started off that committee 2 years ago, the agenda has got considerably smaller with agenda items, so it's a lot of work after being put in there, thanks to a director or HR, Mark.
All right, thank you. Corporate Services, Councilor Power.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met, myself and Councilor Pepper, on Thursday past. Going back to. So payroll process for the period July 17th to the 30th, 2025, amount to $646.64. Payroll for the period 31st to the August 13th, amount to $149,192.12. The committee, or not committee, the staff did a review of the funding applications relating to the Canada Community Building Fund, and there are a bunch of projects. Obviously, we put applications in for projects, we don't really know what the cost is gonna be at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, we have to adjust, so there's an amount of money there to be adjusted back to the Canada Community Building Fund. So they're listed there in terms of projects. I'll just read them out in order, not necessarily project number. $707 on one, $3,638 on another, $5,900 on another, $5,260 on another. The biggest one was the culvert replacement and Wood Fines Lane and Moores Valley Road. That was $37,357 under what we had put in. And energy efficiency upgrade at History House for $678. So that'll be all reallocated back into the available funds. So the committee recommends reallocating the excess funding currently approved for these projects and returning the excess funding to the town's unallocated funding pool for submission of future projects. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next up is the financing of a 2025 John Deere 320P rubber backhoe. And this is the one we spoke of earlier in the year when we pushed it out to later in the year in order to make sure that we made budget in terms of our financing arrangements overall. We end up with 3 quotes and they're all provided there. So there is a recommendation. The committee recommends awarding the financing of the 2025 John Deere 320P rubber backhoe to the RBC Bank for a 3-year term and 7-year amortization at the rate of 3.9% with a monthly payment of $3,592.56. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Just gotta make something clear here. When we, might have been this one, when we voted on accepting it, I declared a conflict because of canoe procurement. However, this is paying the bill, which has nothing to do with canoe. It's just got to do with the town's financing, so there's no conflict here, in my opinion. Council want to confirm that for me? By motion, please?
I move, Mayor, not in conflict in relation to the purchase of the John Deere backhoe, rubber tire backhoe. So moved.
A second.
Deputy Mayor.
Oh, discussion?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. As we all know, I was vice president of municipalities in Flint and Labrador. And the conflict concern here is that there's a kickback, a financial kickback that goes to the board. And at the time of sitting at the board, I was advised that if we were to vote on anything to do with canoe procurement, there's a financial benefit to the organization. As a director, and Mayor is the urban director, there is a financial benefit to that organization. So even if he's not approving the motion to purchase it, he's still approving the motion for the money to be put over there, where that organization is still gonna get a financial kickback. So from my understanding of serving at that table and serving at this table and the legislation as it stands, I feel the mayor is in a conflict, and I wouldn't be able to support the motion that he is not ethically with the information that's available to me.
So, just before we go any further, I'm just gonna remove myself for this
Yeah.
conversation, okay? I was supposed to anyway. and I-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
You don't want to be speaking of conflict of interest. I don't see it personally, and I'm sure that it's been reviewed at MNL table too as well, so let it stand. I mean, the mayor can step out, I don't think it's gonna make any difference to it, the way this vote goes at the present time anyway, so be safe and sorry. Let him declare himself in conflict and we move on.
I really don't know what the consequences would be. You know, it's unclear. These conflicts are puzzling, to say the least. So, you know, it's a technicality, so I'll be voting in favor.
In favor of it being,
No,
Him not being in conflict.
yeah.
Am I able to speak to that, Deputy Mayor?
Where do we stand here now? Like, are we still at determining if the mayor is in conflict or not?
Mayor has removed himself.
He has removed himself, so I don't understand, even though we just put forward that motion, the mayor has removed himself, so he's out of the picture there now, as in the voting aspect to your motion, correct? So my take is that, doesn't matter what we feel, the mayor has already removed himself. We should be voting on Councillor Pollard's motion.
well, we have the motion, so we still got to
Okay.
vote on the current
Okay.
motion that was put forward,
All right.
okay? So all in favor, so this is of the mayor being in conflict,
No.
not in conflict, so that'll be the first.
Deputy Mayor, before we
Oh, sorry,
take the vote, is there one more thing I can add?
what you put through, okay.
If I could,
Yeah.
just share. We are currently in a situation where the town is facing legal action on this very issue around code of conduct. And I think that we have to be especially careful to ensure that we do not open ourselves and the municipality to another potential litigation around code of conduct. So I would strongly suggest that council considers the fact, as presented by me, there is a financial kickback to this organization. The mayor is a director at that organization, and when I sat there as the vice president, I was advised by the legal team that there is a financial gain for that organization to which he's a director. I want to be very careful that we don't put the municipality or the mayor in a position where there may be something contested after. So, point made, reiterated, but I want to make sure that we're all clear on what that is before we take a vote.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
So-
Appreciate it.
For sake of argument, yes, I say that I don't think it's one to either way, but the decision to purchase has already been made. The benefit to MNL, if they get one, has already been done. This is just agreeing to which bank we're gonna use. It's gonna be, RBC, NLCU, or Toronto Dominion. We're not buying the backhoe on this, we're saying we're gonna go to them for financing. The backhoe has already been agreed
Okay.
to be purchased.
so based on this then, just to make sure everybody were voting the proper way, this is for whoever thinks that the mayor is not in conflict? That's what I'm hearing, Kim?
That's correct.
Okay, so everyone who feels that the mayor is not in conflict would be in favor, so
Okay, the vote, I'm in favor.
vote
Yeah.
that he's not in conflict. And I'm saying that he is in conflict with the information that I've heard. So a motion carried that he is not in conflict, so he can come back to the
Am I able to
table.
vote, please?
Hmm?
I haven't voted.
Oh, you never voted? I just
No.
said opposed, I put
Yeah,
my hand
I'm-
up and,
I'm opposed as well, that he would be
Okay.
in a conflict of interest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when the mayor comes back now, I have a question.
Take it easy.
So I have a question now, sorry.
so the outcome is that you're not in conflict?
Okay.
Now, that being the case, is it still not the mayor's option if he feels more comfortable to step back out, even though we voted in
Okay.
favor? Is that,
Okay.
is be one or the other?
Can't be voting in
Okay.
conflict, they're not.
That was my question, I wasn't quite sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, all right, so thank you. So, all right, so the motion has not been put forward yet, right?
No.
Okay. Councilor Pollard?
Sorry, did we put that out already? Yes.
No, the motion wasn't put forward yet.
Yeah. Committee recommends awarding financing of the 2025
Okay,
John Deere 320 for 3 years, 7 years at 3.9% with Royal Bank.
all right. Okay, seconder?
Second?
Seconder. Comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, carry on, sir.
Invoices over $5,000. First invoice is for Black McDonald Limited for the payment on the traffic lights outside here, $109,286.88. Canada Life Group Benefits, the 1st to the 15th for July, for August, sorry, $14,380.07. Pension contributions for July to CIBC Mellon in the amount of $44,972.06. City of St. John's 911 service and standby fees, $70,839.84. Englobe Corp. for Torbay Roads project in the amount of $8,676.75. Englobe for the water modeling project in the amount of $7,806.20. GFL Environmental for monthly garbage and recycling in the amount of $65,903.68. Grand Concourse Authority for Trail Development, Costley Hill, Lower Street, in the amount of $75,985.80. Grand Concourse Authority for the yearly trail maintenance, partial payment of it anyway, or one half, $21,709.20. H&M Paving, road maintenance in the amount of $42,722.50. Harvey's Oil Limited for diesel in the amount of $5,534.37. iSoft Technologies Canada for the Voyant Alert for August to August, the renewal, $7,992.50. Kinsella Services for landscaping repairs in the amount of $23,057.50. Morel Music International, Irish Descendants, Time and Torbay, $11,500. Newfoundland Power Inc., July Group Building, in the amount of $12,271.67. Newfoundland Power for the street lighting, in the amount of $20,914.76. Newfoundland Power for the August Group Building, in the amount of $12,412.37. Newfoundland Exchequer for the HEPSET in July, which is the payroll tax, in the amount of $7,619.25. Receiver General of Canada for the payroll remittances for the last half of July, $91,575.72. I don't remember this list being this long before. Receiver General, August 1st to August 15th, 2025, payroll remittance in the amount of $46,813.62. Richard Power CPA Professional Corp., 2024 audit fees in the amount of $30,293.30. Triware IT support in the amount of $5,750. Tufco Sealer and line painting for 2025 in the amount of $14,990.25. Wares Construction for curb work in the amount of $30,705. Wolsey Canada Industrial Products Group, replacement value valves for Thorns Lane, the amount of $5,819. WSP E&I Canada Limited, related to the North Pond Water Treatment Project, amount of $5,533.22. Another one for WSP for North Pond Treatment as well, the amount of $21,177.54. Xylem Canada, repairs to Motion Lane Lift Station, the amount of $13,558.96. So all totaling $829,802.01. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next motion is a motion to approve additional payment to Morel Music International Inc. We previously approved the amount of $11,500 to Morel Music International for services rendered. The actual invoice received from Morel Music International totaled $13,800. The discrepancy of $2,300 was due to an administrative error and submission of the original purchase order and invoice for approval. So be resolved, the council approve an additional payment of $2,300 to Morel Music International Inc., bringing the total payment to $13,800 to reconcile the outstanding balance on the invoice. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next up is a donation request for St. John's Under 18 AA basketball team. There are 4 members of our town on that team. So according to policy, be resolved that town of Torbay approve a donation of $200 in support of the Under 18 AA baseball team. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments? Good luck. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Donation request here for Juniper Ridge Intermediate. There's a donation application submitted by Juniper Ridge Committee. I'll read the motion first and back to it. Juniper Ridge Intermediate has requested a donation to help offset costs of hosting a barbecue at the start of the school year for over 650 students and facility to create a positive kickoff event for the school year and to create a welcoming environment. Be resolved that Town of Torbay approve donation of $500 in support of the Juniper Ridge Intermediate School barbecue event for students and staff. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
We discussed that in terms of the policy, and if you look at the letter actually requested an amount of $880. It's not something that we did budget, and we did provide other money throughout the year, and the committee is of the opinion that we should probably take this as budget items moving forward as well, so that we identify the specific needs of the schools and do it all at one time rather than come back with unexpected, as I say, at this point in time, because this certainly impacts what we have left from our donation budget. We didn't go the full $880, not that we certainly wouldn't want to, but $500 off the remaining budget we thought would certainly go towards providing, you know, a substantial amount of covering the cost of that barbecue.
Okay, any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Vaughn, on your desk, there is one more motion. It relates to the insurance. So the invoice relates to final updates to our insurance policy following the evaluation conducted by JS Held earlier in the year. They are retained to assess the replacement cost of 24 properties owned and maintained in the town of Torbay. Based on their findings, adjustments to our insurance coverage were required and now have been finalized. So resolved that town of Torbay please approve the additional invoice from Calvin Grow in the amount of $13,797.70. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comment.
Please note that please was not in that reading. I inserted please there accidentally.
I just want to ask how many of our properties were not involved with the original insurance with Cattle Grow?
The exact number I don't have in front of me, Mary, but what this study was, or what this piece of work was, it looked at every piece of property that the town had, all of our facilities, our monuments, anything related to town infrastructure. And we had a proper evaluation done. The last one had been done several years ago, and adjustments were made to pretty much all of our properties to reflect current market values, replacement costs, and as well to include any buildings or facilities that had not been added or were not properly addressed. So I think off the top of my head, there was maybe 5 or 6 different facilities, and when I say facilities, things like lift stations, pump houses, and that sort of thing that were not included previously. And after some research and discussions with our Director of Public Works and discussions with other municipalities, we started to include those on a go-forward basis.
Okay. I'll just ask one other part of that question, if I could, is how much was the previous insurance with them? Now it's 13,000. What was it in the past?
Our
How much
total
did it go up
insurance,
for?
that bill of 13,000 is just for the adjustments to the additional buildings that we made. Our total budgeted insurance for all of our town's facilities, recreational programs on an annual basis used to be around 130,000. With the updates and changes to premiums, now with the addition of all of our facilities and that, I would expect our budget for next year will be somewhere close to 200,000.
Thank you very much, David.
Can I ask a question on this too, please?
Sure.
Thank you, David, for the update. I really appreciate it. I'm just trying to understand, and I think further to the point that Deputy Mayor was making, how is it that now we're coming up with this $13,000 in addition? Like, when this original work was done and the insurance was put in place, what's different from then to now in identifying the requirement for the 13,000? Because what I'm hearing is there's been changes to some of this stuff, but is this something that would change throughout the year, or is this something that we should have fixed so we know what the fixed price is for residents when we're budgeting and planning? Because if there's, you know, an opportunity throughout the year where, hold on, this has been adjusted and taxpayers, you have to pay an extra 13,000. Oh, guess what? 3 months down the road, it's changed again. We're gonna have to pay more money. I think taxpayers have the right to understand how the process came to be of what happened when we did the original work on this, why that change is happening. Will it happen again? And what does that look like? I think that would be, just if I could actually build a little bit more on what you had shared, that'd be really appreciated.
Good question. So
Thank you.
Going forward, our premium should be set. So we should be notified somewhere late in this year of what our premium would be based on if our coverage doesn't change going forward. So what happened this year is, as part of my responsibilities and duties this year, was to do a complete review of our insurance policies, everything from our vehicles, infrastructure, our recreational policies, and those sorts of things, to make sure that we were adequately covered. As part of that process, we did look at everything. We had all of our buildings assessed and appraised for proper replacement costs. We had, Jan and I, the Director of Recreation, would have worked with the insurer as well to make sure that we had adequate coverage for people, participants, employees, volunteers who use our facilities and those types of things. What happened this year is, as a result, I guess it's been so long since an in-depth review was done, there were numerous changes that were required. And what happened was we couldn't make all of the changes to one time. We did it in piecemeal. So we looked at our buildings first, then we looked at our recreation coverage, and then we looked at our vehicles and all those sorts of things. So this invoice just reflects the final adjustments. So that we had some new charges, we had some credits. For example, we had some vehicles that were no longer in our fleet that we removed from our insurance policy, so we would have got some credits. So this is just $13,000 invoice. It's sort of the settling up of the new policy now. Going forward, though, our insurance should be set, except for if we add a new vehicle during the year, then obviously that would be a small increase to that premium. But our insurance going forward should be fairly easily to budget going forward.
So if I could just last thing, thank you
Yep.
for that comprehensive answer and review that you've undertaken as directors. The deputy mayor's question about the policy change being the 13,000 additional, in addition, you had shared that previously had been 130,000. We're dancing at around 200,000 now with comprehensive coverage. That seems to be a significant jump for the town. I'm curious to understand, is there a conversation happening at committee to look at when we would review our policy providers, making sure we have competitive quotes? If we don't have a policy in place on this, we really should, to make sure that every couple of years we're looking at this. We need to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck when it comes to the residents of Torbay.
Another good question. Absolutely. So at the committee level, I've informed my committee just recently that I'm now in discussions with other insurance providers to see about going to an RFP for insurance purposes. The significance in change has a lot to do with the assessed values and the replacement costs for our insurance. And I can tell you that some of our facilities were undervalued or underinsured for hundreds, if not millions of dollars. So that is why the premium jumped so high. In one case, one of our buildings, I think, was assessed at $400,000 or $500,000. The replacement value on that building would have been $1.5 million. So we've had to make those adjustments to ensure that in the unfortunate circumstance that something was happened, we would be able to have proceeds from our insurance to replace those facilities, equipment, or whatever the case may be. So that's why there was such a large jump. We should not, and we will not, see significant jumps like that going forward. But one of the things that our committee has talked about is we should have a policy in place that says on a regular basis we do an in-depth in review for our insurance going forward. And I would suggest that's maybe, once every 3 to 4 years or something of that nature, that we look at our assessed values. What have we added to facilities and those types of things.
Thank you, Director.
Okay.
Just further that, Your Worship, we did talk at committee level in terms of the process for identifying changes to our assets as well, because a lot of that value happened over a period of years where there has been, capital improvements to buildings and things of that nature that weren't taken into account from an insurance perspective, and the identification of when something comes into our categories, our asset categorizations, and when we sell something as well. So that has the policies and procedures in place for that as well. So that's part and parcel of that whole insurance review. And $200,000 seems to be a bit on the high side, so we certainly had to get to a point of this to make sure we had everything covered and everything valued properly. And the next steps will obviously be to look under the hood and see what else we can save moving forward.
The only other thing I would like to add, Councillor Appleby, is that this project was an in-depth review by all of the directors. I worked with each one of them individually to make sure that they all understood their policy, all understood what was covered, what wasn't covered. So this was really a group team effort to make sure that the town of Torbay's assets, infrastructure are adequately insured.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Is that motion, do
We
we
didn't
vote
vote
on
on
it?
that yet, no?
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So ends my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, can I ask one question about the report?
Sure.
Just further to the last motion, was there an RFP that went out for the Caligro insurance bid?
No, there wasn't. As far as I understand, that RFP has not been done. Obviously not since I'm from here, but nothing that I can find where we would have went to an RFP. I think Caligro is probably pretty well known to be the insurer for pretty much all municipalities, or the majority of municipalities. But it's something that we as a committee have discussed and are looking at on going forward, is to actually go out to an RFP for insurance purposes.
So can I ask for the next council meeting to have an investigation into how we ended up in a situation where we have an RFP with Caligro that cost that amount of money, that clearly there wasn't a request for proposals put out for, that to my understanding of the legislation under procurement, I don't know that that's in line with what that act is. So I want to make sure we have a look at that to make sure that the procurement processes at the town are in line with that legislation.
Okay.
And I think it's really important that the committee looks into this in depth and comes back with that policy and brings it forward, just to make sure that we have all of our bases covered.
Just,
if we could.
just so
Is it- is
clear,
that
I gotta,
the-
go ahead, go ahead.
Is that the whole Caligro insurance thing goes back a long ways with municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador, and the fact that they offer a 10% discount through MNL. So, for all the municipalities that go through them. Now, whether or not that works out to be correct, I'm not saying that we shouldn't go for RFP, because we definitely should, because it's getting to the point now, especially where it's getting pretty cost prohibitive, I guess, for insurance dollars, but it certainly goes back years and years and years. Caligro have been the premium insurance provider to MNL, Caligro, and they offered a 10% discount across the board to all municipalities on board. So they supposedly should have been cheaper overall, but to your point, yes, I agree.
And Councillor Pollard, just to that point, I'm not saying that we've done anything we shouldn't do. If the answer is because we've got a membership in MNL and there's been a standing way of doing it, and we've been getting a discount through that, so be it. Like, I'm not saying that that's not the case. What I'm saying though is under normal procurement procedures, there would be a tender that would go out for something of those values. And because we do have a membership at MNL, and we just do the same thing with Canoe, we've adopted a motion that says we will purchase all of our things through that. So I'm not trying to infer that we've done something wrong, but I do think it's important that if we're looking at that kind of an increase in insurance rates, that we ask committee to go back and look into how did we come to be at this space, why there isn't an RFP. That's a very legit answer as to why that would possibly be the case, and then to come back with recommendations after looking at it, so that we could have something on the books to say we would look at this in further depth. That's all I'm asking for. So I think it's important that we look into it at that level and ask that committee do so when we have the opportunity and have that information for the next council meeting. Thank you.
One thing that we need to be clear about here, though, is that we didn't go out looking for an insurance provider. Caligro was already our insurance provider, but staff noticed that some things weren't insured, like a lift station where the pump was insured but the building wasn't. And then when they noticed that, they said, oh, hang on now, what else do we have that falls into this similar category?
Yeah.
And they went and had it reviewed, updated the assets that we have to make sure they were insured correctly.
Yeah.
And to your point, yes, and that resulted in increase in insurance policy. No different than if I built a garage in the back of my house and I had insured, I already had an insurance policy and I added the garage to it.
Yeah.
But you're right, if we go out at the time when the policy comes up for renewal, it's a different thing, then we go out for.
Yeah, and just the last point, it's not just insurance. I think that we should be looking at that for the things that we do have. I mean, we have insurance, we have legal. We just need to make sure that for those big ticket items that taxpayers are paying for, that, we have open, transparent communication on how we're finding those services and making sure that we're getting the best value for taxpayers. So this is not just insurance. That was the second point that I wanted to raise. But I think it's really important that we look at that and make sure we've got clear communication, because someone in the public can come to me and say, Trina, what's going on? once committee has done its work and our directors have provided answers, then we can go back and say, look, we looked at all this, this is the information, and we're doing our due diligence, which I think is only right and fair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Could I comment?
Great.
I just want to say, I've been here a few years, and I've been at the table for many directors of finance. And I could say, serving on this committee with Tony and Dave, he's been digging and finding
Yes, he has.
a lot of stuff that should have been caught years ago. So I just want to commend him for the work and job he's doing.
Thank you.
I agree. I have to second that.
Yeah. Fully agree with you, Councillor.
All righty.
Give
Are
him
you
a
done,
raise,
sir?
give him a raise.
All right. Thank you. Where are my two? Economic development, tourism, and culture. Councillor Tepper. Who's the,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had our meeting last week, just a few updates first. The trench down at the beach, the work is completed and electrical work done, awaiting inspection approval from Newfoundland Power to be completed this week. And this has been ongoing, unfortunately. This is September, and the stage is down there now, and it won't be used until next June. But we've been waiting on this for a long time, and it's long overdue. So, and a regional transit study, just an update, public engagement workshop tentatively planned for late September. Online survey at over 350 responses, and I think that's increased.
Yeah, it's over 400.
Over 400, which is great. The Mannion project update, technical work to update Move database is ready to move forward. MOU with Memorial University to guarantee access to digital records in perpetuity being drafted for signing. So there's a motion on this. The Economic Development Committee recommends that the town move forward with transferring and taking ownership of the Mannion collection, including the transfer of the digital files to the town's website under the History House page. Total cost for this work will be a one-time development cost of $19,607.50 and an annual hosting fee of $2,640. These funds are to come from an already received government grants. So moved.
Second.
moved and seconded, comments?
So just to be clear, 100% of these costs are being absorbed by that grant?
Yes. And there'll be money left over.
And I think, just to note on this, the Mannion project, since it's been brought to this chamber, has been something that I support. I think it's really great that we have that genealogy here in the community for those who are interested to look into that. There are people across the globe that are looking for family connections and where they came from. And for the cost of, $2,640 per year for hosting, to the taxpayers, for the potential return on investment, the revenue that could come from people coming to the community, spending time here, walking our trails, eating at our food establishments. These are the things that we want to draw people into our community. So I think this is a great investment. It's a great return on investment that we could be looking at. And I want to thank you, Councillor Tapper, for the work that you've done on this. From the very early days of this being a conversation here, I recall you coming in with Jim and some of the others and saying, hey, listen, there's something here. And, the Mannion project may not be for everybody, but I do think it's this kind of thing that we can bring into the community, bring more people in, have more connections, and people understand as well their place. That there's people who can figure out their family connections and connections to here. So I really think this is fabulous. I just want to commend you for your work in this space. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, Aaron, comment?
Mr. Mayor, I just realized I
You
missed.
forgot the rest of the motion?
Yes, I was
I was
scrolling.
going to ask you about that.
I'll read the last line. This initiative will guarantee that the town has access, ownership, and control of the Mannion research, along with access in perpetuity to the digital files. Sorry about that. So moved.
Second.
Any other comment?
I'd just like to add, it's great to see this Mannion collection to be transferred over to the town. It's been one of those other initiatives that's been a long time coming. And it's great to see that before this council, before a new council comes in place, that we finally got this done. So, and again, it's a big thank you to Councillor Tapper, because he's the one that kept this moving initially over the past term, so.
Any other comment? Go ahead.
I'd like to add my few comments to that too. Certainly, Councillor Tapper, since I've been here, this has been a major project from the very first year, and I hadn't known anything about it until I got on council. So the education I've received from sat around listening and being able to volunteer at the History House and be on a committee there for a while. Your storage unit, that is the History House, for this project, couldn't have been more ideal. And I think a lot of residents don't realize the importance that this has the potential to be. Well, it is the history of so much more, and to have signed people to be coming here to be looking at this and delving into it. So super impressed with it all from my perspective. And as I said, you're the storing vessel, that be the History House, couldn't have been any more ideal. So congratulations to all the hard work.
Any other comment? I'll make one. So, this, and to Deputy's point, I remember when we first started talking about this Mannion project, where people don't understand what this is. I had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Mannion and his wife at the History House, and it's a big badge of honor for the town that the Mannions would trust their life's work to us. And the $2,000 or whatever it is, $2,600, we were paying that anyway as the hosting fee. But now we're gonna own all this data. And I don't think that they were so willing at the beginning to give up the ownership of it. For the number of years that they put into it. And for anybody that doesn't know what this is they researched for years and years and years about Irish immigration into Newfoundland, particularly in this area of the province. So that's what the Mannion collection is, and it's a lifetime of work for Dr. Mannion and his wife, and you know, it's an honor for us to be able to own that now and to have it at the History House, and it can only grow from there. Anyway, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The Bradbury Memorial Project, committee has been working on this for a while. We put out, we had some drawings made. So we put it out there, and we had one submission at a cost of $131,000. So that's way out there. So we're going to start over again, and we're you know, going to put out more RFPs just with some more reasonable drawings to get this done. Some upcoming fall initiatives: Community Fall Market, looking at early November, depending on space. Small Business Week, business networking session with council and directors, workshop with local businesses on hiring newcomers. Marketing and communications, primary focus on the launch of the town's new website. We've been working on that now for quite a while, and hopefully get that done very soon. History House, visitors for the month of July numbered over 1,000. Planning for fall program, which includes Creative Minds with school children, guitar group, art classes. Also looking at a paranormal event. I'm sure you'll all enjoy that one. So if there's no questions, that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions? I will say that 1,000 visitors in the month of July. I challenge anyone to find me another community museum in the province or history that does that kind of visiting. And it's every month. It's not just the July month. it's 500 every month, so.
Could I just
Good
mention
stuff,
one
yeah.
thing? Just to mention, there's a group of 43 Irishmen coming over as part of the Irish Newfoundland Connections on the 16th of September. They'll be getting off the plane, leaving the airport, coming to the History House. So they'll be starting anew. So just having a brief snack there. But they're going to spend 8 days, 3 days in this area. We're going to have the Ellie O'Brien concert down at St. Nicholas Church, which is great entertainment, the whole works. So they'll be going to St. John's, LMO as well, Logie Bay, and then heading out to Branch and Point Lance for 3 days. So, they're going to spend a lunchtime over to the Tap House. So they're going to spend lots of money here in Torbay, which is great for tourism.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. All right, Infrastructure and Public Works, Councillor Atwood.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to apologize. There's been a mix-up with the information that's in the package. When I reviewed it, I noted that the information was similar to the information we just adopted. So sometimes mistakes happen, and we caught it as we're rolling.
Okay.
But I have a printed copy of it here, so we can move forward. And I want to thank Councillor Rhonda Manning for joining me on Tuesday, August 22nd at 8 a.m. for this Infrastructure and Public Works Committee meeting. The trail projects, so I'll just touch a little bit on this as we're walking through because we've got an updated package. The bypass road bridge to the area, the license to occupy has been approved, waiting on some paperwork there. Trail and Eagles Nest area, the director noted that he is working with the planning department on the deed for the trail from the developer. Flora Drive down in Indian Lime, the director is working with Grand Concourse to see if room is there to fit a trail. So following up on that one that you had asked about, Councillor Pollard. And trail to the Colonel Amherst, Mackimine, and Castle's Hill, the work on those trails is complete. New projects for 2025. So that's pretty much the same as what you would have in the public package. There is a motion under the Canada Community Building Fund though. The consulting portion of the project has been awarded to Anglo. Tender documents and drawings are nearing completion. As a result of some design changes, there was a request for a change order to cover the cost of the extra work in the amount of $3,519, HST included. So the motion is to approve change order 1 in the amount of $3,519, HST included, to cover cost of some extra design work required for the 2025 Tory Road Works project. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question? Sorry, I'm not seeing it go just now either. It says tender documents and drawings, maybe some delays with permits that may extend the project into 2026. I'm just wondering where this is tied into the road upgrades, and there's been some resident inquiries in terms of when certain roads are gonna be done. Can we have someone in Public Works identify what the impact might be, and if it is, notify those residents?
Absolutely.
That may be delays on that.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. So we'll ask the director to follow up on that when he is back. All right, moving into the next part of the conversation, wastewater collection and treatment system feasibility study for 2025. So there was an RFP that was advertised, 3 responses were received and scored as per the tender documents. The successful tender was from Stantec in the amount of $85,903.85, HST inclusive. The project timeline is 6 to 8 months, and here comes the motion. Motion to award the wastewater collection and treatment system feasibility study 2025 to Stantec in the amount of $85,903.85, HST inclusive. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Comments?
It's
All in
great.
favor? Whoops, go ahead.
So I'm glad to see this moving forward, trying to get some movement on the wastewater side of things. Just one question in relation to I know we didn't work, let's see, contact with the proponent and the discounts associated with that from the
I
FCM meeting.
asked that
He didn't
question.
come in.
So I asked that question, thanks for raising that point, Councillor Pollard. I attended the FCM conference in Toronto a couple of years back and met with a proponent who was interested to speak to me about wastewater in Torbay. I went down to that person's booth and we had a very extensive conversation about what options could be available and what that looks like. So when we came back, the committee did speak about it, and Councillor Pollard was chair of Infrastructure and Public Works then and brought it forward. So we actually went out for an RFP at that time, and there was a $100,000 credit that was available to the residents because of me being at the FCM, meeting with this gentleman at his booth and having my card scanned. I did ask that question in the meeting that we had on Tuesday, and I was informed by the director that that party did not place a bid in this competition. So of those three, that party did not place a bid. Now I do understand that they did participate in the first round, but just so that's clear for the public record, we did go through that first exercise, but the provincial government came back and said, you need to do more of an expansive look at what options are available for wastewater if you're going to go down this road. And we had a conversation about the BAT study that we had done and learned that this new technology was not involved in that study because that study had been done before this was available. So what this does now is there was $100,000 that's budgeted for this. Because that proponent did not place a bid in here, we don't have the access to the $100,000 that would have been available. However, what this will do now is it will allow for a conversation about wastewater management. And when I first came to council, I was told the best thing we can do for wastewater, it looks like it's gonna be a $20 million price tag, and it looks like we're gonna have to have a big building down there. Now with this innovation technology in consideration, what this could do would be manufactured wetlands or alternative solutions that could be located throughout the community. So we could do this the same way as we do with stormwater management. Instead of having $10 million and have to raise taxes, this kind of technology could allow for an engineered solution where this $85,000 will give us a plan, but then we could look at it and say, okay, well, this part of Torbay, we're gonna have this infrastructure here, and maybe we can put this many houses on sewer. In this part of Torbay, we can do that. And the idea then is to decrease the cost so that it's not a big bang for the impact for the residents, but also that beautiful stage and the beautiful beach we have. And one of my favorite places in this beautiful town we have is that area. It would be really nice if it all possible to not have to put a big concrete structure down there to impact one of the best things I think that we have in the community. So that's the answer to that question, and it's a very comprehensive explanation so the public understands it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? So I do have a question.
Yeah.
This is gonna look at all available technologies, right?
That is the understanding that I have. It
Right.
is to look at, to do a feasibility study for wastewater collection and treatment systems for the town of Torbay.
Right.
That's exactly what the provincial government said. They said you can't look at just, because at that time we were looking at wetlands as the option, and the provincial government came back and said, no, you need to open it up to all technologies, which is what this is about.
So, and I hate to harp on this, but did we specifically tell them we want to look at wetlands as well? Because in our last study that we had done, they ruled out wetlands, said that it wasn't feasible. But just, I understand the new technologies, but they're looking at everything.
My understanding is this is to be inclusive and looking at everything. And the conversation around wetlands, when I had this conversation with a person in Toronto, Torbay is a hilly community. It's not the kind of space where you're gonna have massive land where you can do wetlands and lay them out in scales. But the conversation is for some of these technologies, and they are being used in Newfoundland, Labrador, as you know, Mayor, with your work with MNL throughout the province, that you know, different municipalities have different solutions. So we're looking at the solution, the size, the cost, and what's most feasible for residents. So I think this is gonna be a really great investment of money, and then we can plan towards finding a solution for the sewage that is going into the ocean, which we as an environmentally friendly community don't want to see that continue.
Okay, thank you. Good work. All right,
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. There's an update on the EV feasibility study. So the draft report was received and reviewed. The director noted that moving forward, electric vehicles will be considered as an option when replacing light and medium duty fleet vehicles. The department will utilize the cost calculator provided in the report to support decision-making during the procurement process. The department, or the director, will share a copy of the report with all members of council for their review. It was also noted this project was fully funded through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and will serve as a foundation for future EV purchases. Without this report, the town would not have been eligible to apply for certain EV-related funding opportunities. So I just want to be clear, we had a very thorough discussion about this throughout this project as well. I want to thank Director Kerry Murray for securing the funds for the EV study. But this report now allows the town of Torbay to apply for discounts and credits through the FCM that we would not have been able to access otherwise. The other thing about this is that this is not saying, and mark it down, this does not mean that the town of Torbay is going to only purchase electric vehicles in the future. There have been conversations and miscommunications about that in the public. So let me, as a councillor and chair of this committee, be very clear. That was not the discussion that we had at committee. What this does, though, is it allows the director and staff and next council to make informed decisions about the opportunities if electronic vehicles will be more feasible, if they would make more sense. And if we did look at that as a consideration, it would allow us to have access to discounts that otherwise we would not, and funding through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities that we would not be eligible for. So if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I just want to make sure that that was really clear on that.
To your point though,
Yeah,
it's kind of timely because Portrait Cove St. Phillips provided us with their report to put into the public of this pilot project that they've been doing for electric vehicles. And it talks a lot in there about cost savings. And I think that when they initially laid out the money for the ones that they purchased, it only cost them 18%. They saved
Yeah.
82%, I believe, on the cost of the vehicle. So in certain circumstances, they work. Other ones might not be up to what we want, but at least council had the information to be able to make a decision.
absolutely, Mayor. And we did, Councillor Manning and I spoke to the director about that. He did cite the report and what's happening in Portrait Cove St. Phillips, and they have a number of electric vehicles in their fleet. And I do believe you're right. I think it was 18% of the cost that they paid, and the rest of the grant they applied for through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So, you know, it's really great to see the town of Torbay benefiting from the FCM. It's really important to know that we have this information now to help guide for future procurement practices and to make sure that we are being environmentally friendly, but also looking at cost savings for the public. If we're looking at, you know, paying 18% as an example on a vehicle compared to 100% in another situation, this allows us to have that option and discussion at this table to see if electric vehicles would be a smart part of our future strategy. So we'll see how that goes. This doesn't mean we're going to go down that road, but this means that we are now qualified for funding opportunities. We have information, and we can look at that and grow from the opportunities that are out there. Thank you for adding that, Mayor, appreciate it. So for the depot surface course paving, the contract was awarded to Ware's Construction. Panel replacement at the lift station for 216 Marine Drive, the contract has been awarded. Water distribution model project, the consulting portion of the project has been awarded to Englobe. The tender, current tender amount is as there, so all that stuff has been there. Patch paving project, the contract has been awarded to H&B Paving. Required documentation is being gathered. Curb, gutter, and sidewalk repairs project, so the contract has been awarded to Ware's Construction. Supply and delivery of winter salt, the tender has been awarded to A. Harvey. Supply and delivery of winter sand, the tender is awarded to New Crete Investments. Landscaping and sod hydro seeding repairs, the contract was awarded to Kinsella Services. Multi-year planning, capital planning projects, so the common generator project, that's there. The project has been awarded to Cal Technical Services. The first phase of the project, which includes ordering the generators, already underway, and site work is expected to begin ahead of anticipated delivery date this fall. So the director had put some information there, and we did ask him to get a little leeway for just in case something goes wrong, but that is well moving forward. Stormwater mitigation. So this is a 70-30 funding arrangement. The sites that we have identified that are being worked on are Whiteways, Pond Brook, and the Gully. All documents have been reviewed, and we are currently awaiting permits and approvals before issuing the tender. There was a situation that had come to my attention within the last couple of weeks in the Forest Landing area. And so I brought it back to the CAO and the director, and I asked them to have a look at it. This property had experienced flooding. The report that we had received came in 2020, Mayor, for the stormwater management, and this property had actually experienced flooding in 2022 and 2024. So when it came to my attention a couple weeks ago, I reached out to the director and copied the CAO and said, can someone please help me in this space, because we need to figure out what's happening with this. I understood at that time, when we did the work in Forest Landing, that the flooding issues were taken care of and people weren't experiencing active flooding. So there's two pieces of the work in Forest Landing that still need to be done. One is a berm along the property from the resident who had reached out to me, and the other one is a detention pond. Now, the detention pond, if my memory serves me, is somewhere around $4 million. And if there isn't active flooding happening and we can take other preventative measures, then at this point, I understand and committee understood that that $4 million might be best used in other spaces before we get to that. But with this instance, we went back, we looked at the stormwater management plan. It specifically states in there and references that property, and that the water that is coming down because of decisions that council had taken in the past could maybe impact that property in some way. So what the director is doing is the director is taking action now. We're actively looking after the ditches in Forest Landing. So that area has been ditched, and the director has a plan about making sure the water runoff in that area gets sorted, and is also looking at the conversation of the berm in that area, and had talked about taking some of the materials from the work that they're doing to try to address the berming issue. So at that point, what that does is it allows the town to, be able to meet the specs that are in that report around the berming, which I think was around $135,000 for that part of the conversation. But in the work that he's doing now, he's looking at it from an operational perspective to try to address that issue and make sure that we are in line with the stormwater management plan and the requirements there. Councillor Mang, did I miss anything? That's a lot.
I don't think so.
But that's,
Job well done.
that's the same recollection that you have of that conversation.
Absolutely.
So I just want to make sure that that's understood. The budget for the project is $1,432,775.28. And this is where I talked earlier about the stormwater management plan. It was $10 million. We broke it into like $1 million per year engineered solutions. And that we had talked about the plan, how that was going to roll out. The department, the other thing, the director's noted that he'll be submitting a budget proposal this fall to support a culvert crossing and further berm construction in the area in line with the stormwater management plan. Okay, I'm getting there. Sorry, this one's long. Water treatment in North Pond, so things are moving forward there. I don't think there's a whole lot to touch on other than the fact that that is and continues to move forward. The land acquisition, that's all part of the other updates, so that's fine. Great Pond Water Project, that information hasn't changed. Wastewater testing requirements, we continue with that. North Pond water levels, boy, we did have to put a water ban in place. The director actually informed us that he walked around the perimeter of that pond. It's that low that he was able to walk around the full perimeter of the pond. So we're very grateful for the rain that we've been getting, but also want to urge people where they're able to still conserve that around the town water supply. We are working on solutions to try to bring Great Pond on, but we certainly aren't there yet. Another item that we talked about were memorial benches. Councillor Manning removed herself from this conversation because her dad is past mayor. But one of the things that we are doing is we are putting benches in the community in different places on trails and things like that. And we've been having conversations about having a plaque that people could request in memory of people. And one of the things that the director brought forward, which I thought was really great, was the idea for past mayors who are no longer with us to have a plaque and a bench in memory of those mayors. So, you know, for the years of service and the work that goes into this job, I think that's a reasonable acknowledgement. It's $400 per plaque, per bench. And what I had suggested to the director was to go back and look at it and maybe reach out to the families, ask them, one, would they want their loved one remembered in that way? And number two, would that member have a space that they loved, they'd want that bench in? So there is no direction that this is going to happen at this point, but I thought it was a brilliant thing to bring forward and consider. And he's investigating it. He's going to speak to the families, and then there'll be a further update that'll come back. The other thing that we talked about
I'll
was,
tell you this, you can hold off on my and Ralph's bench. We're not in any hurry.
please God, we won't have to worry about that. But the other thing that I wanted to note was that there was a conversation as well that in some other communities, some rooms are named after past mayors, things like that. So maybe families might want that instead. Instead of a bench in a location, maybe they'd want a room that would be named after their family member or something. So at this point, we're just investigating. We're not saying we're gonna do it. We're not spending taxpayers' money on this. But I thought, what a wonderful way to recognize the contributions of past mayors and do it in a cost-effective way. So we'll talk to families and see what they say. The municipal enforcement reports and patrols. There were a few incidents reported this time around ATV use, parking issues. They were addressing the issues and working with the RNC where required. Patrol times have been changed from 1:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. daily until school reopens, and then of course will change to accommodate the safety run going back to school. And safe return to all students and administrators and teachers that are going back to school tomorrow. Thank you for what you do. For Fire Road emergency access at Skipper's Landing, so there were concerns from an area resident about ATVs to be discussed at the next meeting. Flow meter numbers, they have been down, but they will be, we're asking people to conserve. Traffic calming continues. Our stealth radar box hasn't been working properly, but there's the list of what we've been doing to try to help address pedestrian safety in the community. And of course, the items that are in action tracking for the Infrastructure and Public Works Department. That's a long report. I apologize for having to go through all of it, but I think it's always nice sometimes too to go through it in detail and make sure residents are up to date. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to entertain them, and if not, that ends my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any
I got a
questions?
question. With all of this being said, do we have any idea when the paving contractor, what roads are being paved, and when is it supposed to take place?
So I saw an email on that today that came from the superintendent. The director is away right now, so we'll ask him to follow up with more details when he's back. But the superintendent had provided information saying that within the next couple of weeks, there would be paving started. The list of those roads and what the plan is was not included in that email, Deputy Mayor, but it's certainly something that we can ask to have circulated to council and made available.
Because I saw one request that keeps coming forward, and they had contacted me, and I'm not aware of seeing anything, and I guess it's late in the year, and I guess with school, so maybe that's something we can get out sooner versus later of when that's supposed to.
Has that
Because
person
we have a
been
fair-
directed to the
We have a
director?
fair amount that's continuous questions that's coming forward. We emailed them back, and we don't know a date. I think we all had seen that, and then he contacted me. So if we can get some information on that, it'd be, because I mean, we're in September, so.
Is the director aware of
That
this
is the
one?
one, that's the one I haven't responded to today,
Oh, okay, yeah.
for sure, right? What, Fines Lane?
Yes,
Yeah, there
we
you go.
need to, yeah. I mean, the time is, and there were a lot of work to be done, so I'm surprised that that hasn't been out and awarded yet.
I thought the tender was awarded.
It's awarded.
But we have no dates or identified on when everything is supposed to be happening on that.
So the
Last thing he said here was that he's providing a list of areas to paving contractor by the end of the week.
Yeah,
By the end of this week?
That email went out today, Deputy Mayor, with that
Okay.
information in it. I made sure, I spoke with the CAO this morning and asked to make sure that that got seen to, and the CAO reached out and made sure that that happened today before the council meeting.
Okay.
So that's, if it's that case that you're talking about, we are actively on
Yeah,
that.
well,
And
it's that one plus all the other roads that need to be done as well, so.
so if there are other ones, just make sure that Brian is aware of.
Well, I'm asking now when you say that, because there's all the roads that need to be paved, it's getting late in the year for,
So,
to come
yeah,
in.
I mean, the tender has been awarded, the contractor needs to be mobilized, and I'm sure that the.
and they're planning on starting, because I didn't see any emails, I never went in today to check on anything, so if that
Yeah,
came out.
there's an email in your inbox on that, Deputy Mayor.
Hmm.
Yep.
We need clarity around what we're paving and what we're patching to. That's the other side of
Right.
things. There's some confusion on that, and that email that Rob referring to relates to an expectation that's gonna be paved in its entirety, and I think the conversation around it was actually being patched to,
Right.
so much, but I think
Oh,
we
is
just
that
need to
right?
clarify that as well, yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
so I think needs to be a conversation with the director when he returns on.
As long as it gets
What
communicated, that's
happens,
why I mentioned
That's right.
earlier about the delay to 2026 for the major paving project or some of the roads. Just so long, we just need information, really, is what it boils down to.
Well, it all comes down to communication.
So, so
Okay.
we will follow up on that and get that information circled around when the director is back.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but the
Okay.
superintendent did respond to that today for us. Thanks.
All right,
Okay.
Recreation and Community Services, Councilor Manning.
Thank you. My turn here now. So we had our meeting Wednesday, August 27th.
You're not going through all 115 pages, eh?
Every word and period. Sit back. Oops. So with the program and events, the Killy Coast Games. Now, I'm having a real problem trying to see here tonight. Bad head. I got to increase the size. I am going to read this because to me this is important. The committee would like to congratulate all the athletes who took part in the games this year. Torbay athletes took home several medals, including the following: gold in junior soccer, gold in junior boys ball hockey, gold combined with LMO in senior girls softball, yay, gold in 2 cross-country races, and silver and 4 bronze in cross-country races. Big congratulations going out to the following Torbay athletes who won the Diane Whalen Award: Scott Tapper, Maddie Conway, Cameron Curry, I think that's right, and Sophia Roach. So a big thank you going out also to the staff who put a lot of time and effort into ensuring that the games were successful for all involved. So huge thank you to the staff. Sometimes we don't realize exactly what's involved behind the scenes, and a lot of times it has to be brought forward and made known. The fall program and events, the registration opened for August 27. Been there, done that. Grandbabies are registered for Halloween. And it'll open up to the public, the rest of, or non-residents, I should say, on September the 3rd, tomorrow. Time in Torbay. So we reviewed the stats and revenue and the expense breakdown for the concert. The event sold, this event in particular, sold more tickets than any previous adult dances that occurred since 2022. Numbers are there. There was $11,770 revenue earned back between ticket sales and bar sales. And the director has provided now a detailed expense breakdown to Director of Corporate Services for a review as well. So thank you for that event also to the staff. Once again, a lot of work goes in behind the scenes, no one really sees. So the facilities, the soccer field. We discussed the concerns. The soccer field is it's in hard shape. Minor soccer came forward with, regarding unsafe conditions of the field. And, we're certainly aware that there's been issues with the soccer field, and that's a project that really needs to be looked at and discussed and decided how much and how the money is going to be spent and what to be spent in there. But there's work that needs to be done, which is just a fact of things. With the senior softball field lights, there was an incident where the field lights were down for a week in August, and we had to get the electrical panel was damaged by that last lightning storm we had, actually. So that's been replaced, and I'm happily playing under lights now for the next couple of games, I think. So now, under others, the Safe Action Community Plan, we discussed updates, including several events that are planned for the fall for this initiative. Now, I'm going to move on. The last thing there right now is the age-friendly action plan and assessment. This was done, this plan was sent to all council on July the 25th, with an opportunity to give back feedback or add any changes that they felt needed. But the director, we didn't receive any response, so that's why we were putting it forward here today for a motion in order to get this approved so that we can move on with setting up an advisory committee that they can work through what needs to be done and what needs to be added, and get into that final part of this whole process. I'm going to read this here, so I was trying not to do it word for word, but I'm going to because I think it deserves it. The development of this assessment and action plan came because of Torbay's 2023-25 strategic plan, which included an initiative to develop a framework to ensure the town becomes age-friendly. Plan was made possible by funding from the Government of Newfoundland's age-friendly funding and was completed by Recreate Consulting, apparently who are the experts in this area. The assessment included exploring and engaging residents on how they feel Torbay meets 8 domains, and they're all listed there, like it's outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation, housing, respect and social inclusion, social participation, civic participation and employment opportunities, communication and information, and community support and health services. The feedback and assessment provided positive results that the residents seem to be satisfied with many of the 8 domains, and the ones that need improvement are certainly already being incorporated into an updated municipal plan and future commitments. So, as I said, once this plan is approved, the Director of Recreation will then add get an advisory committee to seek more valuable community members to sit on it, so that she can go out and recruit individuals to sit on this committee and to help pave the way to follow this action and plan moving forward. I'll bring the motion forward and we'll see where we go from there. Committee recommends that council approve the attached Torbay age-friendly community assessment and action plan. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
I'm going to ask that due to the length and the details that's in the plan, that this motion be deferred until the next meeting. While I respect what you're saying, that it went out a while back, we've only been meeting once a month. And I guess for me, I can honestly say that I've had a few things on my plate, and that I never personally gave it probably the in-depth review that I should have and that I want, because this has been something the age-friendly community that I initiated back to the last council, actually, to get some movement on it. So I would ask my colleagues to look at deferring this until I have an opportunity, and I think that this would be worth coming to a committee of the whole to have some discussion on, because I understand that it went out on a survey, and that the survey was very low turnout, that I understood from the last meeting, that it was approximately only 1% that had, and there was some issues with it being given to the seniors. And when it was given to them, that it was in small print. And I know a few people from the active 50 plus mentioned it to me that it was difficulty in reading it. So I just asking for it to be deferred if possible. So I need to put a motion in to have it deferred, or what way do you want me
Can I
to,
speak to this, please?
what way do you want me to ask
If
for
you
it to
wanna
be
put it-
deferred?
If you want to put a motion to defer, you can go ahead and do it.
Okay, so I have a motion to have this deferred until the next meeting, please.
Second?
Moved and seconded. So, I guess kind of, maybe you should have did that first,
Yeah.
and then spoke to it, but you already spoke to it, right?
Yeah, because
Okay, so that-
I spoke to the chair to say that I was going to ask for it to be deferred prior to the meeting.
All right, any other comment on the deferral?
Right here.
Go ahead.
So I understand the deputy mayor hasn't had time to look at this document that she shared with all of us. I have concern though, when other members of council have received this information, have received the package, the public has received the package and the information. And I know people have read the package in the entirety because they reach out to me and say, here's what's in the package, I've got a point for you, a question about that. I don't think that it's right or fair for us as a council to decide that we are going to defer this because one member of council did not find time to read this information. We did have this conversation in the past here. We did talk about the low survey participation. We did talk about the need for this. What this motion does is it adopts what work has already been done. This does not prevent the director from continuing work in this space. It does not prevent the deputy mayor for advocating or continuing to do work in this space either. And what this does is it allows the public who have had the opportunity to read this cover to cover to understand what feedback we did receive, the lessons learned that the deputy mayor just shared about reading. I assure you, I'm very close to 50. I can't come here without these glasses. And at one meeting, I do believe our acting CIO had to share his glasses so I could participate here. So this was done over a period of time. This was not a survey that was available one day where we couldn't find solutions to support. I know our staff would have been there to support people if they really wanted to participate in the survey. At this point, a deferral, all this does is slow down the ability of the director to do a call for people who are interested, who we know have already shared that they are interested, to participate in this space. I think what we do is we adopt the policy that has been circulated to council, it has been circulated in the package, and that we move things forward as we continue in the space. This does not mean that we can't do further work. This actually would be inhibiting council and staff, if we defer this now, from being able to do further work, because one individual is asking for deferral because they didn't read it. So I'm sorry, I can't support a motion to defer. That would not be something that I think we should be doing here this evening.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comment?
I'm going to speak to it again, because part of what Councillor Appleby is saying is true, that this is not a final decision. It's an approach that we can take now in order to get an advisory committee up and running that's going to come back with an assessment and what we need, what's needed for the town of Torbay in this that falls under the age-friendly community assessment, not just a plan that's going to come from the director of the Commons over there. This advisory committee, from my perspective, and I may be totally wrong, are going to be the ones that are really going to do an intent review of what's down there, what's over there, and come to council, will come to the director, which is gonna have to come to council eventually, to say that this is what we we should be doing, this is where we think the direction should go for this particular project. I do agree, as I said, with Councillor Appleby. By deferring this, it's holding back on the creation of and the opportunity to go out and ask community members to be on an advisory committee so it can get up, started and running. But we all, each have our own opinion on all of this, so
So what's another 2 weeks?
I don't know.
Seeing that we're waiting 6 or 7 months.
Ken,
I'm just putting it in there.
well, you already.
Yes,
just-
I know.
I want to find out if anybody else has any comment. Anybody else?
I just want to say that I was never a supporter of deferring, right? And things get lost. So again, with the explanation, if the work has been done to get us this far, I think we should proceed. I'll support the motion.
I back it. I stand by this report, like the report, it's not, the report is not a final decision that this is the way it absolutely has to go. This advisory committee, I'm sorry,
Sorry. Councillor Pollard, do you have anything
excited.
you want to add?
sorry.
I was of the same mind as Deputy Mayor actually when I first read it. And since then, I've changed my mind. Not that I didn't change my mind before Deputy Mayor asked to deferred. I changed my mind because we're accepting the report. We're not accepting the actions around the report, which I'm content with. One thing that, and I gotta speak two motions at one time because they kind of tie in. I'm really hesitant.
No, just speak to the deferral first. Please.
They kind of tie in, but
I know. Well, I mean,
no.
go ahead.
I'm fine with accepting the report. That's
All right, okay. All right.
Okay, so I gets the closing, seeing that I put it forward.
Yep.
I had 2 emails this evening, and I would say about the wording that's in here for active adults, multi-tournament, and when I saw that, I went back in. Also, age-friendly program for funds pertains to inclusive and access for all ages. It's not just for seniors. And when I read this report, when I briefly went down over it, this does not entail a lot of what was originally talked about for age-friendly communities. And by accepting this report, I need to look at it, and I will bring it up because, again, in that there's a lot of inaccuracies in here that need to be looked at and considered. And I take exception to the fact I came here and I said that I didn't have the opportunity, and we have deferred when it was only 2 weeks in the past for different counselors. And I take their exception to that, and I feel really let down by everyone when I came and said this, knowing that this is something that was on my agenda for so long, and this is not what I would look at as accurate information. So I'm not, I therefore will not be voting in favor of this because it's not the proper information, in my opinion. And once again, I'd say, I guess I had other things on my mind and I missed the deadline, which often happens around here.
Okay. So, all in favor of deferral?
I'm the only one, obviously.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion is defeated. Okay, back to you for the original motion.
So I'll read that.
You don't need to read it
No,
out again.
because, all right, it's already been
Did you already read
seconded.
it out? You did,
Yeah.
and it was seconded. So any other comments?
Mayor,
Yeah.
it looks like the director had something to share. Should we?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to clarify, so
Thank you.
this age-friendly is based on the World Health Organization age-friendly domains, which is 60 plus. If we want to look at an age-friendly community for all ages, that's something completely different than this.
That's what it started off as.
Okay, all right. Councillor Pollard?
Yeah, I expressed my concerns when this first came to the table in terms of the percentage of response we got. while we can accept the report and the suppliers of the report indicate that they can extrapolate from 1.74% response rate, I don't think they can. But I think the information in the report was broad enough that allows us to accept it. We know there's gonna be flaws, and we know there's gonna be changes that we need to do, and the actions need to come back to council anyway for us to be able to do, but at least this allows certain parts of it to go forward in terms of recognizing that we need to do things for an age-friendly community. Is it perfect? No, by no way is it not, and I don't know, to Deputy Mayor's thing about deferring for another 2 weeks, I don't know that would change where we are today either at the end of the day. But I did express my concerns when this first came to us, that I'm not sure of the overall reliability of 1.74%, that we can rely on, but there's certainly some aspects of that are probably universal anyway in terms of response, and to Jen's response there in terms of what it's based on. I think some of the findings here, we can certainly at least bring something forward and start the action on. But it definitely needs to be refined, and that's the, I guess, some of the restrictions that I put on moving forward, that realize that it's not a perfect document, it has to be changed and adopted and move forward.
Okay, any other comment?
So is this going forward,
Aye.
sorry?
Who put it forward, you?
I did.
Okay, Councillor Ackley?
Thank you, Mayor. We at committee have had a lot of conversation about this work and this report. I would suggest that a consultant has been hired. When we hire a consultant, there's a scope of work that would have been understood that was being undertaken. And there was work done, there was communication here around this table about, and Deputy Mayor brought that forward, people want printed copies provided at the buildings. We have done our due diligence to try to ensure that people had the opportunity. There were people who wanted help at the comment to do this stuff. We talked with staff about making sure that support was in place. I think that, you know, the important point here is by adopting this, it allows the community now and the director and her team to start moving forward in this area, to explore this conversation, to find people in the community, put out the call and find people in the community who want to engage. We talk about all the time, community engagement, having people get involved, volunteer their time, be a part of what we do here at the council, understand it. It's amazing to see, you know, candidates that want to come forward, sitting here in the chamber tonight, come on with it. We need that. So I think this is a great opportunity to move forward. I know Councillor Manning and I have talked about this at committee meetings. We've brought this forward to council. We're in a position now where this allows the work to continue in this space. And I want to thank the director and her team for the work that she's done. And I want to thank Deputy Mayor if she spearheaded this conversation back when to get the ball rolling. But I think it's important work, and I think we need to continue in this space. So I fully endorse adopting what we have right now as a path to move forward, something we can build on, and looking forward to seeing the good things that will come from it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comment?
I asked to. I'd like to say, first of all, when we talked about the consultants that came in, when I asked for that to be put in another format other than on social media, that the consultant, was my understanding, and I don't mind saying that, I was told was not really in favor of doing printed copies to put out for our residents and to our seniors. And so the other thing with this, I had to push to get the copies made to go into the residents or into the seniors groups. They were the wrong copies. On one occasion went into the seniors, and then the print was small. After reading down over this second time this evening, I noticed that we had gone out about transportation, public transportation, and some of the comments that I read, and I'm just looking at, and I can't find the exact place, but the seniors who responded, they couldn't comment on the transportation portion of it because they were still driving their own vehicles. So that in itself, I look at that, and I think that you must have read the same thing, Councillor Pollard, and I think that that's really unfortunate when we're looking at what true seniors are, when you put in there, and the ones that filled it out said that they are driving their own vehicle. So for different reasons, I look at this, and it's not, from the seniors that I talk to, And where it's suggested for this to go out to probably some of the seniors' homes to have different people respond to it, I think the amount of money that we paid for this, and looking at 1% and a consultant that didn't want to engage people other than on social media, I don't care even if there's one person that wanted a copy or another format, much the same is what Director Carey Murray is doing with the transportation study that he's doing. He's engaging other residents other than we're driving their own vehicles, and how do we get out that. So I'd just like to put that in there, and that I think we've paid money for a document that we're not getting the results or the survey that we should be getting. So I'll leave it at that.
Any other comment?
Just want to make it clear that, out of respect for the consultant, she was always in favor of paper copies. I'm not sure where that came from. There was an issue initially internally, her format got changed, and due to copyright, we weren't allowed to do that. That was the issue with the first survey.
Not allowed to print it, you mean?
We changed the format. We're not allowed to change the format. She was always in favor of public consultation and printed copies, always. So out of respect for her, I'll just put that out there.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Right.
There's different funding updates there that's attached to the file there for all your view and pleasure. And with that said, I will end my presentation, and Councillor Appleby, if you've got anything to add.
Well, no, you know me, never
Well,
ask for a word. If I could, I just want to thank our director and our team for the fabulous work that they do. We've had an awful lot of happy, successful people, a lot of people who had successful work experiences with the town this summer through our Recreation Community Services Department. We've also had some really great programming. We've had the Killicoast. We've had members of the team who were at the Tom and Torbay that night and closing things down, shutting it down, making sure it was done, had a couple hours sleep, and they were off doing the cornhole tournament the next day. There are hundreds and thousands of families and people and children of all ages that have benefited this year because of the work that this team has done. So I want to put a shout out to the director and her team and thank them for the work they've done. I want to thank Councillor Manning for being an amazing person to work with at this table as well. We've had some really great committee discussions, and it's been brilliant. And my last comment comes back to the Tom and Torbay dance. Now, other than watching the mayor break out the moves on the floor, and boy, I tell you, he had some good dances going. And I may have joined him in one or two as my friend was going, how's your blood pressure? But as we're all getting a little older, some of that comes with it, right? But I will say that there were residents who came up to me that evening, and of all ages, and they said, Trina, this is the kind of stuff we need to see more of in the community. I'm so happy to be able to come out in my community with my peers, enjoy this kind of entertainment, and have a night. And one of the members of our staff actually put a post on Facebook talking about how lovely it was to go out in their own community, have such a great time, get a wicked feed of chips over at the mobile vending thing, and be able to walk home under the stars after having the best time. So I just want to say thank you to council for making that happen, because different things for different people in the community, but boy, that was a resounding success. So a lot of gratitude. Just want to say thank you for all the work that's been done there, a lot of good success stories, and I think it's fair to share. Thank you, Councillor Manning.
All right, thank you. All right, where would you? Liaison committees, Atlantic Mayor's Congress, no update. Intergovernmental affairs, we met with the MHA Wall today and the Liberal candidate, just to talk about the town's priorities with the provincial election likely around the turn, and just giving them an update of where we are and what we would like to see and ways that they can potentially help us. Jack Byrne.
No update, except that we're anticipating having another meeting now before council changeover. It's the schedule for the 25th, I believe.
Okay.
There is an event on the 20th and 21st. Jack-o'-lantern or Janet-o'-lantern or something, whatever it is. I had the brochure in front of me. Anyway, I asked folks to take a look at it and see what they can do to support the events at Jack Burn Arena on that weekend, 20th and 21st.
Okay. All right, Northeast Havilland Joint Council, the
The
Mayor?
next meeting will be in September middle.
Okay, RNC, I don't have any update. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Council Manning.
My turn again. The report is there, so I'm not going to go through it. It's easy reading, and you can see exactly what these volunteers do day in and day out for the community. And this will probably, well, this is the big thank you that I wanted to put forward tonight, is the fact that our volunteers were involved in the firefighting that was so intense around us. And, the fact that, like, they are volunteers, and they committed to doing that, so to those individuals and their families, thank you. Thank you for what you do and the support you give each other, and we have a fantastic fire department here that's above and beyond, so to all those people, I'll say, thank you for allowing me to be part of their meetings, and it's given me a good insight, and certainly appreciate each and every one. Other than that, the report is there online, and like I said, you can read and you can see the good work that these people do.
Okay.
So ends my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will say
Mayor,
this,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I know it's been a really long meeting, but could we just take a minute to do a roundtable of councillors to thank the fire department for what they've done? These have been really exceptional circumstances that they have been responding in.
Oh, we can, I mean, this report is tabled, so if you got something you want to comment on it, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just think it's fair. I mean, all members of council know and value the contributions that our firefighters make. Not only did these people leave in a volunteer way, they left their families, they left their jobs, they went out and they helped their friends and colleagues on multiple fires for multiple periods of time to help people. So I just think that it'd be really nice for them, for the morale, to have council acknowledge what they've done, thank them for what they've done.
Sure.
And I think it's really important. I mean, all fire departments across the area came together and supported the way they could. Some of those members out there in CBN area, they lost their own homes and they were still out fighting these fires and help people. And I also know as well the Rovers here in the community. I know, Jack Hickey is a retired fire chief and a member of our community. The Rovers have been active, participating as well. So, want to make sure that the people who are out there tirelessly giving of their time, our fire chief, his team of firefighters, plus members of this community showed up, worked hard, did what they could to support keeping all of us safe. I think that's really important and something we should just acknowledge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
I had something, and I think that there's basically no words that you can say enough to be able to thank the various volunteer fire departments that were involved in that. I know that the ump on our regular games from Pooch Cove, while I'm in there, he talked and regularly about it, giving updates, and even I think that it was really touching that the Premier took the opportunity last week to come down and to thank the fire department, Pooch Cove, Flavrock, and of course, Torbay. And, when you look at how close that it actually came, and to know that these people are out and doing what they were doing on a regular basis, let alone on a regular house call or what have you, but to be able to go out and put out those wildfires, I think that is, we can't, and I've always said when we go home, go to bed, at any given time, they're the ones that have to get up and go out. So any support that we can give the fire department, we need to be giving them.
Okay.
So we're only doing
Well,
that right now, because I had something else that,
We can, I had it in my go-around, but.
yeah,
What?
yeah, so we had it in our
Wait to go
go-around
around,
anyway,
that's-
That's right.
yeah.
So, okay, we'll do it that way.
Hmm.
Where am I to? Okay, Urban Municipalities Committee, I don't have any update. The next meeting will be at the conference. We have no notice of motion. Now we'll do our new business go-around. Councilor Tapper.
Okay, I'll start off with the fire department. So I had a few thank yous, and that was one of them. But I've always supported the fire department. Ever since, when I was mayor, I learned an awful lot about, working with them at meetings and that sort of thing. But I also had, on the other side of it, I had to utilize their help. 3 o'clock one morning, they answered a call. I was in trouble. So I experienced, when they came running up over the stairs, that's I think it's in their blood. You gotta be a special person to do what they do. So, thank you very much.
Okay. That it? Did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Good? Councilor Manning?
Um,
Everybody had a thanks on here. I'm assuming that's what it was.
Yeah, and that was my thank you, and I'll just add to that, just once again, as I said at our last public meeting, thank you to everyone around the table, and to all these people behind me who has helped me out over the last 4 years and been my support over the last 4 years. Thank you, each and every one, for that. And so, I move on to you, sir.
Okay. Councilor Pollard? Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, firstly, thanks to all the residents of Torbay for the past 4 years. I really appreciate all their input and all their support of us in general and our doings. Special thanks to council. All the members, it's great working with you, even though we don't always agree on everything. We do have our set twos every now and then. It's been a pleasure, and I certainly look forward to continuing that, because I will be running again. So I want to say good luck to all those returning candidates and all those who are going to run in the future. Wish them all the best of luck, and we'll see you on the road when we hammer a few signs in, probably. Special thanks to staff, and I can't say that enough. I mean, Torbay is blessed with a number of all qualified staff and who do a great job for us on a day-to-day basis. And unless you're inside these walls or have worked in the environment, you really truly don't understand on what staff does on a day-to-day basis to support us. I mean, every 2 weeks they gotta get ready and provide us with as much information as they can so that we can sit here and look good reading some information and read back to them. They have to know all legislation and everything that needs to keep us on the straight and narrow, and then they gotta listen to us complain. So I say sincere thanks to all of them, and any apologies for any time you may have felt hurt or distressed over what may come up or what we have done as a group. Secondly, I'd like to thank the firefighters. I think everybody's on the same page here for the times that they take out of their day and out of their life to support the residents of Torbay and the residents of the area. Not only, we don't see what they do on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of a quiet existence, a quiet insurance, or a quiet reassurance that someone's got our back, and the fire department always does have our back. And once again, to go above and beyond again for the folks at CBN, I think that's typical of all Newfoundlanders. I think it's in Newfoundlanders' blood, and certainly in firefighters' blood, to be out there first on the scene to help and put themselves in danger to save others. So a really big thank you to all our firefighters, and really appreciate what you do on a regular basis. And I don't say that enough, so I apologize for that as well. I want to say a special thank you to all the volunteers, and I usually thank them on Volunteer Week and at this point in time for all their efforts, because they fill in all the blanks, all the things that there's not enough staff to do, not enough council to do. Volunteers pick up that slack and make Torbay a great place to live and a much better community overall. So a sincere thank you to all the volunteers. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my two daughters, Megan and Gillian, for their constant support, and Marlene and her two sons, Matt and Nathan, for all they support me during the year. So thanks very much to everybody.
All right, thank you. Councilor Appleby?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'd like to wish condolences to you, Mayor, and your family. I knew your mom, and she was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I have to tell you that her send-off was one of the very best I've ever been to in my entire life. Darren Martin brought tears to all eyes when he sang at your mom's funeral. And the eulogy that you gave to her took great strength, and you did a great job. So even after the hallelujah, when your daughter said, Dad, those are big shoes to fill, you did a really, really good job sending your mom off. So my sincerest condolences to you. That's a huge loss. All my love to you, your dad, and your family. Also condolences to Kelly Tapper and her family. Laura Waterman is a lady who runs Torbay Minor Softball. And years ago, when she was getting that started, I was running the soccer association. And Laura called me and she said, Trina, would you mind giving me a hand? And from that day to this, we've been good friends. And I went today on my lunch break and spent some time with the family. But that's a big loss to them losing their mom and their grandmother. So I wanted to share condolences to their family as well. I wanted to share and thank you. I've got my thank yous to the fire department already shared, so we can cut those out of that part and maybe place it in here if you don't mind. But it's exceptional what our firefighters do. And to Councillor Tapper's point, I have also been on the receiving end of a call from the fire department, and boy, they are some of the best. So I want to thank them from the bottom of our hearts for the work that they do. And also I want to thank the residents. You know, this past 8 years, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to sit at this table if it wasn't for support from this community. With that opportunity, I have been invited to meet the Prime Minister of Canada. I sat in the room representing this community with the Prime Minister of Canada. I got my kids in a space where they were looking at me going, what are you doing going to Toronto without us? Because I had just taken them on a family vacation. And I'll never forget the look on Jake's face when I said, I've got a really important meeting, you might know this guy. And I showed him the picture of the Prime Minister, and I said, you can't tell anybody because the Prime Minister's security detail requires we don't tell anybody where he is until the day of. And I couldn't even share it with council at the time. Jake marched up to Nana's house and he said, Nana, you're never gonna believe this. And she said, what? And he said, Mom's gonna meet the Prime Minister. And his sister couldn't wait to rat him out. And when she did, I said, boys, Nana's not a security threat. We're all good. But you know what? Serving the people of this community the last 8 years has been some of the proudest work I've done in my lifetime. To have my children, their support, have them here as we've passed budgets, work we've done. I've been given little, candy canes as we were here passing budgets over the years. You know, some members here have played Connect the Dots or Connect 4 with my kids as we were doing committee meetings when they were really small. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here, to serve here. It has been amazing. I also want to thank residents who take the time and they come to me and they ask difficult questions. And then I come to staff and council and I ask difficult questions. The intent of all of it is to make our community better. And I had a question this evening from a resident who was watching, who's emailed and said, I've got a question here. It's not being brought forward. What's going on? And I've gone so far, even in this meeting, to send a note to the acting CAO and say, do we have a policy around that? Because someone's been advised that we don't accept anonymous information. If we don't, where's that in policy? We need to make sure that's adopted and public information if that's the case. And then the other part of that, the question was asked about if someone were to use, this space for personal reasons, is there a policy around that? Is that something that we should and shouldn't do? That's something I think that we need to take back to a committee for conversation and look at. But at this point, I think it's really important to share, it's not always been comfortable sitting here asking difficult questions. It's not always comfortable having to say, I don't agree when the consensus may be somewhere else. But it has been my pleasure and my honor to sit at this table, work with our staff, work with our residents, and work with members of council to do the best that we could for people in this community. So thank you. There's an awful lot of gratitude from me, even welling up a little bit in the beginning of that, to say thank you for the amazing 8 years that I've had the opportunity to serve here so far. So with that, I'll hand it over to Deputy Mayor. Thanks, Mayor.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I never did no thank you tonight because we have another meeting in the middle of September before
Right.
whatever.
End of October.
So I'm not, yeah, and you did the same thing, so
I
We
was
got-
told we weren't.
Oh,
We
sorry,
are
take it
one-
back.
we,
Get around and say
I was told that we weren't, though. I asked that question.
Erase it.
We have one final council meeting. It's after the election.
but I thought we're not having one in 2 weeks?
No.
Since when did we decide that?
CAO and the clerk recommended that we didn't.
So advice from Municipal Affairs and Community
Okay,
Engagement.
Yeah.
I just assumed that there would be another one in 2 weeks because I was
We will
told.
be having a final council meeting with this current
Be
council.
eternal.
Yes, but, no, but I understood that in 2 weeks' time, we would be having another meeting, that we went back on the 2 weeks scheduled. But that's fine, we still have a final one at the end of everything. But I just wanted to pass along my condolences to Mayor Scott and his family. I had the opportunity over the years to meet his mom at different events, and I always found her a really nice lady to chat with. And I set up at the funeral home that the one that will be affected, while everybody is affected the most, or affected by it, is your dad that'll be affected. And I've had the opportunity to speak with him, and please pass along my condolences to him, because everybody else's life will go back to somewhat a normal life, but when it comes to the person that's left behind, when somebody's partner die, I know firsthand the void that they're left with. And like I told them, I said, all of these people that are around, but there's not one thing that they can do to take away the pain and the ache that the family and he is feeling. I also want to send out my condolences, heartfelt sympathy to the O'Keefe family. I know that 2 weeks ago they were she was at a baptism there with the family, and while people can say it's a good age, it doesn't matter the age when somebody passes, especially the mom. So to all of the O'Keefe family, my condolences. And as well to the Murphy family, Patty and Mary and Sylvester, and I'm probably missing somebody in that, but their dad passed away this past weekend and that as well. So, and I'll keep the thank yous for the next meeting, whenever that might be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna run through this quickly. First of all, as I always do every week, I want to thank council and staff for the hard work that you put in for the last 2 weeks. Not just the last 2 weeks, but the last month or whatever it is, in between the last meeting when I had an opportunity to say this. And I also want to thank the organizers and our staff for the good job you did on Kelly Coast Games. And I was able to make it to the closing ceremonies. I didn't see a whole lot of trophies getting given out to the town of Torbay. We'll have to rectify that next year. The big one, that's all we cares about. And but it was well run and well organized, and I know the kids always have a great time at that. What else do I have here? I want to thank Premier Hogan for coming down to visit with the fire department and inviting me and the deputy mayor along with him as he came down to thank him for the whole lot of work they did over the course of 3 weeks, going from, first they went to Holyrood and CBS, and then they went to Paddy's Pond, then they went to Conception Bay North. They were everywhere. And it just goes to show how valuable that tanker is that we purchased and how smart a purchase that was for the town of Torbay. The city of St. John's has one tanker, and we have one. And it was flat out delivering water to those firefighters trying to fight those fires. It's so important. And it can never be underestimated, the investment that we make in the fire department, how important it is, not just to the town of Torbay, but for everywhere. And I also want to thank Pooch Cove and Portrait Cove St. Philip's Fire Department, because while our firefighters were out there, and as were theirs, each of us had our back. and so did the city of St. John's. The city of St. John's committed to come down here on standby and with no additional charge. So to me, that's important, and it just goes to show that you can do amazing things when you work together. Last weekend we played in the Pet Dog Tournament.
Oh, you
Myself,
forgot.
and Deputy Mayor, I want to thank Barry and Marie and Brad and PJ and all the organizers and the family who continue each year to keep that thing going. 23 years this year, next year it's going to be 24. The year after that, it's going to be 25, unheard of for a softball tournament to continue that long. We've been doing some reaching out, myself and Barry and Brad, on looking for corporate sponsors. I think we've done really good, and we're going to wait and find out who we're going to have, and it's going to be exciting. What else have I got here? I do want to send my condolences to the Keefe family and the Murphy family, and you know, I know what it's like to lose somebody, and it sucks. It's the only thing I can say. I want to thank the residents, in particular, the ones that are on the municipal water supply. We put out a call a couple of weeks ago, well, months ago now, asking them to conserve water because we were low on our water supply. Then a couple of weeks ago, we put out a water ban, asking them really not to use any unnecessary water. Anybody that drives past North Pond understands the pond is low. It's not as low as it's ever been, which is good. But hopefully we're going to get some rain. I want to thank them because I have seen over the last couple of weeks, we are not the only ones in that situation. I've seen other towns with their reservoir completely empty, a mud pit, and they had to pump water from another pond into the river to fill it to be able to get water for the residents. And these things can happen so quickly, and I want to thank our staff for keeping an eye on the water levels and making sure that we don't get to the point where we lose the siphon on the pond and all of a sudden a third of our residents would have no water, schools would have no water. You know, it's such an important thing that they've done, and I really, really want to thank them for doing that. And, you know, there's no other words that I could say, but, you know, thank you for not washing your cars or whatever. Can't read my own writing. That's it. I just want to say thank you to everyone who give me a minute. This is my first meeting ever. Hang on. That I've sat around this table, that I haven't had my mom watching what I'm doing and supporting me. And it's been a tough couple of weeks, but I'll be okay. She was my biggest supporter, and I thank everybody for reaching out. Staff, I thank the town of Torbay for what you've done for me over the last couple of weeks. And council, and you know, mostly people that reached out that were friends of my mom, and with condolences, and I really, really appreciate that. And it's going to be a different world for me going forward, but that's what I got to do, go forward, and I will. I'll do that, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Ralph knows her. He went to school with her. Anyway, with that all said, is there anybody that wants to get on the Q&A session at the end of the council meeting?
You know.
Sandra, please come ahead.
Obviously, first and foremost, condolences, and I wouldn't make the assumption she's not with you.
She's not what?
I wouldn't make the assumption she's not here and not
Oh,
with
no.
you.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So, first of all, Director Pine, thank you for the asset mapping and the detailed valuation. We won't be able to have an open RFP process without that, and we won't get a fair bid and an accurate bid. So thank you for all that work. I can only imagine how hard and long that was. Director Martin, yeah, you have to accept the report because it's done. You don't have a choice. I would be very happy to offer my services for a critique of that report. Survey methodology is not the best methodology, as I'm sure you're aware. You should actually get about a 10% response rate. I'm curious about the population estimate and the sample size estimate that was needed. You can increase response rates by incentives, but you have to be concerned about literacy level and technical literacy levels. And a mixed methodology is the best approach. And I would be very happy to go over the report with you and support you in any way you would like moving forward to develop an engagement plan, because you want the feedback from seniors, but you also want to make sure seniors feel that they've been heard. And I know that's of concern to you. I know that very much.
Keep an eye out for our call for members for that advisory committee
Sure.
that are going to go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. You'd be
Sure.
a good asset to that.
Thank you. And with that said, you can take pieces away from that. It's not to invalidate it, but what you'll want to do is cross-reference that with good developmental literature and see where there are consistencies and inconsistencies with the literature. It can be done, and I will help. Yeah. 3, related to seniors, do we have an emergency plan for evacuation? And where can we find that in case of a situation like we had? I know I had my bags packed and ready to go just in case, but I'm thinking about my senior neighbors.
Yeah, we do have an emergency plan, and this year we actually did our desktop exercise on it. And it's completely up to date now.
Excellent.
And it outlines in it what would happen in certain circumstances, whether it's a flood or airplane crash, because we're close to airport, fires, and all that
Perfect.
stuff. It's all there.
Super, thank you. Follow up on the strat plan. Do we have a report card from that strat plan meeting in June? I think it would be really important for voters to see what the strat plan was and what the kind of success was.
From our strategic plan.
Yeah. Do we have this? Do we have the summary report card on that?
Well, I don't know that we.
I would caution that.
Yeah, I mean, we did our strategic plan is the strategic plan. So it was updated, basically it just gave council updates on where we were doing certain initiatives. And I don't know that we.
But that's on the site.
It's on the site.
It was on site, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's really important for, if we're going to the polls, we need to know where things are at in terms of the accomplishments related to the strat plan.
Right.
So I just wanted to follow up because that was an action item in June, so I wanted to follow up.
I think to your point though,
Yep.
when we did that, I wanted to make clear to staff that this cannot be used as a platform for council to
Mayor, was this
for an
not in a
election.
confidential meeting that conversation happened?
I'm not even sure.
It was, no, this was
Right.
raised, we heard about in May that there was going to be a strategic plan review.
Right.
And there was concern raised that the next council, we don't want to do strategic plan because we don't want the next council being set with the strategic plan. The clarification was, no, this was going to be a review of what's been accomplished.
Right.
And most cities are starting to move to a position where their strat plan becomes basically a report card about, you know, are you yellow, are you green, are you red, where are things at? And so not that it should be used as a platform, but so that voters can really understand the work that has been outlined and promised and where things are at. And if not, just like you do a reconciliation of accounts, why not? Because there are legitimate things that happen, like COVID happened. Okay, well, this is going to get pushed aside, right?
I'll take that back and talk to the CAO about it. I know that,
That was at a privilege meeting.
yeah.
That's the reason why I asked the question, because I was advised in this chamber.
Yes.
Only a couple meetings ago, I love the comments that you're bringing, Sandra. I absolutely love the analysis and the comments and the questions you're asking. But I was advised in a meeting here, only a couple meetings ago in the public chamber, that any discussion that happens in a privileged meeting must stay in a privileged meeting. So that's the reason why I'm exercising caution, because
I hear you.
we have a resident who rightfully is asking about a meeting that council has had under a privileged session, and I've been advised as a council member that we are not allowed to bring privileged information
Actually, I'm not
forward.
asking
She's
about
not
the
asking
meeting.
about the meeting. She's asking about the strategic plan in general.
I'm asking about a knowledge product,
Right.
a knowledge translation product that says, how far have we gotten
Yeah, and I agree, Sandra,
Yep.
I'm not arguing with the idea of
Yep.
putting
Okay, hang on now.
together a product. What I'm saying though
Can we,
is,
can we keep
privileged
this session
information-
to what it's supposed to be?
yes, I
Yep.
know, but
I understand, it's supposed to be an opportunity for a resident to ask a question,
Yep.
and opportunity for me, as
Yep.
the mayor, or any other person that I would ask to answer those questions. It's not a discussion forum for all the council, according to our rules.
Mhm.
All I will kind of address a little bit what Councillor Eppley raised.
Yep.
I am not talking about any meeting that council had.
Yep.
I'm saying that we have a strategic plan.
Yep.
It's on our website.
Yep.
The updates of it have been given throughout the whole term of council, where we are with any particular item.
Mhm.
Whether we have it updated to the point where we would put it on the website with updates on it of where we are and everything, I don't know if we've had that done. I will talk to the CAO about it.
Yeah, so something also to think about moving forward, because I think it's really good
Yeah.
and in a way that people can understand it, like with, you know, we're at a green, we're at a yellow, we're at a red, and
Yeah.
this is why, right?
And when a new council comes in,
Yep.
one of the first things they'll do is get their training.
Yep.
And the next thing that they'll do is they'll get together and they'll come up with their own strategic plan, built
Yep.
on what we've done before.
Yep, and key metrics that will allow, because one of the things that I hear from communities, we don't hear things, we don't know what's going on. And it's not that you don't share information, you provide unbelievable information. The issue is that information accessible to the general populace, and can they understand it and consume it, right? The other question I have is the water application agreement. Is that the one that's for 27 million?
Yep.
Okay, my big question is, where's the other 9 million coming from? What will that do to our taxes? And this going to be a decision that is made before the election? Because if we've got to find a way to come up with $9 million, I don't know that it's really appropriate that that gets decided and it's a different council and or a different mayor, not, like whatever the outcome, gets saddled with that decision.
Right, so there's two sides to that, I would imagine. Yes,
Yep.
that's the agreement.
Yep.
Yes, the federal government is providing 75%. Yes, the town has to outline where we're coming up with the other 25%. This is not coming up with a 25% outlay up at one thing.
Right.
So we are back and forth with the federal government on that. We have requested meetings with the transportation and infrastructure federal to request additional dollars.
Good.
We did have a meeting a few weeks ago with Premier Hogan and some of his staff to ask for provincial
Good.
money to
Yeah.
go towards that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're to.
Good.
And it's, I guess there's two ways to look at that. So this council and our staff have been working on this project forever.
I know.
And we're intimately familiar with all the details. Is it a big decision? Yes. Will it be made before the election? I don't know. It's going to depend on the federal government. If they come back to us and say, this has to be signed before this date, or that money is going to be gone, then that's something that we'll have to talk about. I don't
Boy, the federal government would look really, really
They would.
bad
They would.
saying no
Yes, they
to
would.
75% of 100% of a problem that they caused.
Right, yes, I completely agree. I think they should be paying 100%. So that's
Yeah.
where we're going with it. We're trying to get more money. And,
Get 'em.
you know, I'm relentless when it comes to that.
Good. Get them. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
So that's
My
kind
questions.
of the long and short of it. Anyway, folks, is there anybody else?
Double dog dare you.
I'm gonna ask one question if I could. We had a conversation that there was going to be another council meeting.
Yeah,
I asked the question,
October 14th.
we had 2 committee meetings last week, and I asked the question, would there be further committee meetings so we could plan them? Councillor Manning and I asked that
Right.
question,
Yeah.
and we were advised that there would not be further committee meetings. So can I get some clarification on what's happening, just so that we know?
So, Kim can.
Yeah,
The directors and the committee members have the discretion to have further committee meetings. However, council won't be meeting to make major decision-making during the time of the election procedure. But the committees and the directors use their own discretion in meeting. And if something unusually important comes forward, we will have a special meeting of council, a special public meeting of council to bring forward that decision.
Okay. And are there to be any further privilege meetings, Kim, just to be
We
clear?
are having a privileged meeting on the 14th of September.
Okay. All right, I just want to be clear,
I'm
because
sorry, the 15th.
okay, because we understood that there weren't going to be further meetings after we asked the question. I just want to be really clear on
Yeah.
that, so we've got it fully transparent.
I have been giving all the directors the same information, that it is the discretion of the directors and the committee members.
I just have to add in there that when I look at one of the biggest issues that I have is about communication. As the deputy mayor, I was not advised of that. I have spoken to residents and I said that if something was not on the agenda tonight, that it would be in 2 weeks' time. And I think that that's a little bit, and I did not read anything, and no committee that I've been at was I told that there would be no more meetings.